most unused and misunderstood tool in Lightroom is camera calibration. This tool tucked away at the bottom of Lightroom with an intimidating interface and with settings that aren't clearly described, it's no wonder it's not widely used, but it's one of the most powerful tools you can use inside of Lightroom. And once you've mastered it, it will help you achieve the style, look, and feel you've always wanted to get on your shots. Today, we're going to be deep diving into the camera calibration tool, understanding how it works and how it affects your photos, and how you can use it to improve your editing game like no tomorrow. This will get fairly detailed, but I'll do my absolute best to make sure it's nice and easy to follow along. And just a heads up, I am currently giving away a few of my favorite Lightroom presets, plus a few little extras, completely for free. If you guys want to check out what 2 years of customer feedback, developing, and testing looks like on Lightroom presets, go and check them out in the description. They're completely free. All right, on with the video. Okay, so what is camera calibration? Well, first we must understand color science. Have you ever heard of those famous Canon colors, or maybe Sony skin tones are just a little bit off? Well, people are referring to color science when they're talking about this. And color science is the term used to describe how certain cameras interpret certain colors. See, while blue is blue to us, camera manufacturers have to tell the camera what is blue, what is green, what is red, and every other color under the sun, which I could only imagine is a pain in the ass. But this also leads to colors looking just slightly different on different camera manufacturers, since every camera manufacturer is going to use a different value for each individual color. See, while Canon might see this as blue, Sony might see blue as this. These slight differing values lead to all colors being affected, and this is where brands develop color science, and this is where camera calibration comes into play. With camera calibration, you're able to alter the 3 primary colors, green, red, and blue, and change how they're interpreted within the image. This is great as you can essentially fix, tweak, or correct your camera's color science. Great, right? Well, not so quick. If you don't understand how this works and how to use camera calibration correctly, you're probably not going to get too far. So you've got a brief understanding of color science. Now it's time to play around. So we're here in my computer, and just before we dive in, I do want to say we're going to be focusing on blue. The principles work the same for every other individual color, but we need to just focus in on one. So every color you see in this image, it's made up of red, green, or blue. So for example, this shade of green up here will have a percentage of green, red, and blue in it, and it's the same for every other color. So for example, if we move the blue primary slider, you will see that it gets affected even though it's green. And if we move it the other way, it's going to get affected even though it's green. And even here, my skin tones, this is an orange/red tone, but if we move the blue primary, it's still going to change either way. See, essentially when you're moving the blue hue slider, you are affecting all the blue value in the entire image. And if every color has a percentage of red, green, or blue, you're gonna be affecting every color. See, so if you wanna make your blues a little bit more teal, you're also gonna be affecting the greens and the reds alongside. And it works exactly the same for the saturation slider. You're telling Lightroom, hey, I wanna see more blue in all the colors, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. Or hey, I wanna see less of the blue in all the colors. It sounds pretty simple and it sounds pretty basic, but there's actually a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here. When used correctly, camera calibration can have an effect that no other tool can on your image. See, you might have watched videos in the past where someone comes down to the calibration tool and they just say, hey, take the hue tool and slide it to the left, slide it to the right, and go with whatever way you like most. And while this is a great little way of explaining this tool quickly, it doesn't really give you much. You can't really develop it and take it further. But if you really think about it, you understand complementary colors and you have a vision of where you want your photo or image to be, then you can really take this to the next level. Since every camera brand interprets colors in a different way, you do need to play around with the calibration sliders at first to see what colors you like and see how your image is affected. It's also good at this stage to bring up a color chart and a color wheel to see what complementary colors you'd like to use and the direction you'd like to take your image. If you don't understand complementary colors, basically they are colors at opposite ends of the color wheel, the color spectrum. 9 times out of 10, they're going to complement each other very nicely. Now, through no fault of their own, a lot of people go with the orange and teal look, which is totally understandable. It's arguably one of the nicest complementary color sets, and it's the one that flatters and accentuates our skin tones the most and makes us just look that little bit tanner, which is always a bonus, I suppose. So with that being said, we're going to dive into the calibration here, and we're going to be editing this image. But just before we do, I'd like to show you something very interesting. Here we have a set of green, red, and blue dots. And if we come up here to the saturation tab, we can simply just desaturate red or saturate red a little bit more. We can also pick blue and do exactly the same thing. But if you come down here to the calibration tool, you will notice something very quickly. If we only play with the reds, for example, we're gonna see all the colors change. And if we go back the other way, we're gonna see all the colors change again. And same for the blue and same for the green. And this is because we're not just affecting blue, we're affecting blue throughout the entire image and its complete value and how it's perceived by Lightroom and how it's perceived in your image. Okay, with that out of the way, let's dive into an actual photo. So we've got this photo here and it has been edited from start to finish, probably with one of the free presets you can check out in the link down below. So we're gonna be going for an orange and teal look on this image. It's pretty basic and pretty simple, but let me just run you through it very quickly. So like I said, you do wanna play around and see what way the colors work. And okay, this way is gonna get us closer to that orange and teal look, and this way is gonna get us further away from it. And we can see that because down in this slider, this is going towards a more purple zone, while this is going towards a more teal zone. So straight away, we want to be going this way. And then if we come up to the green primary here, we can see that if we go this way, we're getting more yellow and orange. If we go this way, we're getting more blue. Now this is interesting because sometimes you want to be taking it right, sometimes you want to be taking it left. And we're just going to see what happens there. So going right is going to see a whole lot of this image go a bit more blue and a bit more greenish, while going left is going to see it go a little bit more warm and a little bit more orange. So I'm going to go with the left once again. And last but not least, we're going to come up to the red, and straight away I can tell you we're going to be wanting to push it to the right. Now, if we turn this off and back on, you can see that there is an overall nicer color grade on this image. And then of course we can play around with the saturation. So do you want blues to be more prominent? Do you want greens to be more prominent? Do you want the reds to be more prominent? And we can just go through this and we can slowly see what colors we want to take away. And with this in mind, you have a much deeper understanding about how the calibration tool actually works. So with that being said, I'm pretty happy with this here. And if we turn this off and we turn it back on, overall there's a much more menacing orange feel to this image. And even the blues are looking just a little bit nicer. And then the last thing I would do, not that it has anything to do with camera calibration, is just slightly enhance the blues in the shadows. And I'm pretty much happy with that. Overall, we have a complementary color cast on this image, and now we totally understand how the camera calibration sliders work. Okay, with that now out of the way, you totally understand how the calibration tool works. I hope this has been insightful into how you can use this and how you can benefit your images and how you can take them to the next level. In all honesty, this tool is so powerful, and while this might not have been the best example to use it on, I hope it gives you a good idea of how you can take this to your images and really step up your editing game. But that is gonna wrap up today's video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed, I hope you've learned something. If you have, let me know what it was down in the comments below. If you're new around here and you enjoyed today's video, a subscribe would mean the absolute world. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Peace.